Okay, good day ladies and gentlemen. So in this short video we are going to look at linking tables. So you should have already seen the previous video with the SQL practical, and now we're just going to talk a little bit more about what's really happening in the background. So a new term you need to be aware of by the end of this video is foreign key. We'll talk about what that is in the next few minutes. So let's just remind ourselves about relational databases. Okay, so a relational database is where we don't store all of the information into a single table. We break repeated information down and we take repeated information into a different table. So rather than having a single table with orders where Bill's address is also stored in the same table, because their address is repeated information, we would separate it out into a different table called a customer table, where we have a customer called Bill and his delivery address. And we do that because it's an efficient way to store data, so you're not repeating all of this delivery address all the time, you only store it once. And also it's a very fast way to make changes. So if Bill's address changes once, then that change ripples through and changes everywhere that Bill's name is seen in the order table. Okay, and then what happens is that when we want to send an order to Bill, we create a query that links those tables together and then produces the delivery address for Bill. Okay, so that's a relational database. So how are we actually going to do this? What we've got is the first table here. Let's go back to our SQL example. This first table here is our classes. So I've got a class ID, which is the primary key. I've got a name field, and then I've got another field called teacher ID. Okay, and teacher ID is what we would call a foreign key, and it's the foreign key links the record in the class to a teacher. So where we've got the foreign key here of 1, that's linked to the primary key over here of 1, which says that we're going to link the English class with this teacher called Smith. Okay, so foreign keys don't have to be unique. They can be null, but all they're used for is the linking together an individual record from one table to the primary key of a record of another table, so that we can link both records together. So here we can see that maths also has a foreign key of 1. So the teacher that's going to be teaching maths is going to be Smith in room 101. But French has a foreign key of 2, which links to the primary key on this table of 2. So it's going to be Jones in room 544. So a foreign key always links to the primary key of the other table. Okay? And again, that's a question that very often comes up in exams, so it's very important for you to understand how that works. So we're just putting some slides together to walk through what we've seen in the previous video. We have a table of classes where we have the class ID as a primary key, name is just a field, and teacher ID is a foreign key. And then we have another table of teachers where we have a teacher ID, which is a primary key. Then we have the name, and then we have a room. So these are just normal fields. And what we want to do is to merge these two tables together so that we can get to a single data set that says the class name is English, the teacher name is Smith, and the room is 101. Okay, so this is what we're going to try and build out of our two tables. So the first thing we can do is we can select from more than one table. So here we're going to do select star from classes as C and teachers as T, just so that we can give our tables some aliases. And then this is going to give us, for every record in classes, give us every record in teachers. So it's going to produce all possible combinations. So we have one record in classes of English, so now that's going to map onto 2 records for the teachers table. and then the next record is maths, so that maps onto 2 records from the teachers table, and then thirdly French, and that maps onto 2 records from the teachers table. Okay, so it's a row of all possible it's a table of all possible combinations. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to filter all of our possible combinations. Only show me where the class's teacher ID is the same as the t.teacher ID. So that's all of these records that are in green. So anything that doesn't match this criteria, filter it out, get rid of it. And so now I've got English with a teacher ID of 1 matching a teacher ID 1 from the teachers table, Smith. Maths with a teacher ID of 1 matching onto a teacher ID of 1 from the teachers table, Smith, and then French 2, and Jones. Okay, so this is quite close to what we are aiming for eventually, but what we need to do now is just to take a vertical slice through this table just to remove the fields that we don't want to include. And so because we named our tables as C and T, we can do this. We can do C.name, which will give us the class name. We can do T.name, which will give us Smith, Smith and Jones, and then we can do T.room, where that will then give us the room there. And what we'll end up with using that SQL select statement is that table data, which is what we're aiming for. Okay, so we've now walked through how we can get from 2 distinct tables to a joined table set. As always, if you have any questions, let me know. Other than that, I look forward to seeing you all soon.